Imagine waking up on January 1st, 2026. You check your email, and sitting right there in your inbox is a regulatory notice from the European Union.
Oh, ma'am, that is definitely not the email you want to wake up to.
Right. It states that because your company's new AI system is operating without a fully traceable audit log, you are now liable for a fine of up to 30 million euros.
Wow.
Yeah. Or, depending on the size of your enterprise, 6% of your entire global turnover, whichever number is higher.
It is just a staggering, sobering figure. And, I mean, it represents the exact reality that European enterprises are staring down right now as we move into this consolidation phase of the EU AI Act.
Exactly. And research shows that currently, 73% of European enterprises completely lack formal evaluation protocols for their AI agents. They're essentially just walking into this regulatory enforcement phase totally blind.
Yeah, they really are. But, we're not just here to talk about the doom and gloom of legislation today.
Right. There's a carrot here, not just a stick.
Yeah, exactly. Because while most of the continent is kind of scrambling, the city of Helsinki has quietly built the exact blueprint for turning this regulatory nightmare into a massive competitive advantage.
And if you're a business leader, a CTO, or, a developer listening to this, understanding that blueprint is just critical, the EU AI Act it's moving fast.
It is. By 2026, the law requires strict traceability, embedded human oversight, comprehensive risk assessment, and data minimization. You can't just deploy a model anymore.
Right. You have to actually prove how it makes decisions, which really sets the mission for this deep dive. Today, we're exploring an exclusive guide from Aetherlink.
Yeah, and for some quick context, Aetherlink is a Dutch AI consulting firm, and they have three core divisions. There's Aetherbot for AI agents, Aethermind for strategy, and AetherDivy for the actual development.
Right, and you're listening to this on the AI Insights by Aetherlink YouTube channel. Our goal today is to unpack their technical insights on how Helsinki is building these multi-agent orchestration frameworks.
Right, because we want you to understand how to adopt these systems, optimize the costs, and actually lock in your compliance way before that 2026 deadline.
Exactly. So let's just jump right in. Why Helsinki? I mean, what makes them the ultimate testbed for this?
Well, structurally, they're just set up for it. If you look at the 2024 Global AI Index, they rank in the top 3 European cities for AI investment.
Okay, top 3.
Yeah. But the really wild metric is that Finland allocates a massive 2.8% of its GDP directly to AI infrastructure.
Oh, wow. What's the average normally?
The EU average is only 1.6%, so they are way ahead.
But wait, I want to push back on that a little bit. Is their success just, a product of throwing a ton of money at the problem? Because if I'm a mid-market CTO listening to this, outspending everybody else isn't exactly a replicable strategy.
No, that's a totally fair point, but it's not really about the raw capital is where they're putting it. They're funding these public sector automation sandboxes.
Oh, interesting.
Right, so the government basically forced their engineering culture to grapple with strict data governance from day one. They're investing in the architectural foundations of compliance, not just, buying more servers.
So they're building the governance into the bedrock of the systems right now, which makes total sense because to me, waiting until 2026 to figure out compliance is it's like trying to build a parachute while you're already in free fall.
That is exactly what it is. And the Aetherlink guide explicitly warns against waiting. They note that retrofitting governance into an AI system later incurs 3 to 5 times the cost.
Wait, really? 3 to 5 times? Why is that multiplier so high? Why can't a dev team just write a quick auditing patch in late 2025?
Well, because AI isn't just traditional deterministic software, right? You're not just updating a few lines of code. If your model was trained on messy data, where the decisions are buried in billions of parameters.
Right, the whole black box problem.
Exactly. You can't just slap a tracking module on it. You usually have to scrap the whole model, untangle your data pipelines, add metadata tagging, and rebuild from scratch. It just completely stalls your projects.
Man, the technical debt alone would just paralyze a company. So let's talk about the solution then. The operative term in the Aetherlink guide is multi-agent orchestration.
Yes.
Let's demystify that jargon. What exactly are we building here, and how is it different from, say, the customer service chatbot everyone already has on their homepage?
Good question. So a chatbot is basically purely reactive. You ask a question, it answers. It's a monolith. Multi-agent orchestration, though, is proactive and autonomous. It uses what's called an agent mesh architecture.
An agent mesh. Okay, break that down for me.
Think of it like a decentralized team of specialists. Instead of one giant model trying to do everything, you deploy a network of narrow-focus AI agents.
Okay, so like different bots for different jobs.
Exactly. You have data integration agents just pulling real-time metrics. You have compliance agents just monitoring for GDPR issues. Decision agents executing logic. And audit agents logging everything to an immutable ledger.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. A mesh sounds like a chaotic web of bots just talking over each other.
Yeah, it does sound a bit wild.
Right, like without a central controller, how does a company actually control that? How do you stop them from getting into some hallucination loop and making terrible decisions?
Well, they don't just talk freely. They use a standardized communication layer called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
MCP, okay.
Yeah, MCP acts like strict traffic control. When a data agent finds a file, it doesn't just hand over raw text. MCP forces it to package the data with context where it came from, the timestamp, the confidence interval.
Oh, so it's highly structured, like an API gateway for microservices.
Exactly like that. But then there's the factual grounding piece, which is even more important for the AI Act's explainability rules under Article 13.
Right, because regulators want to know exactly why a decision was made, so how do you prove that?
That's where AetherDivy uses RAG retrieval augmented generation.
Okay, RAG, we hear that term a lot.
Yeah, and it's crucial here. Instead of the AI just guessing the next word based on its training data, which is how normal LLMs work, a RAG agent is forced to dynamically query your internal approved databases.
So it's basically fetching accurate data first and then just using the language model to summarize it.
Precisely. It synthesizes verified data. It's not generating original, potentially hallucinatory thoughts. Because it's pulling from strict data sources, every single output can be traced right back to the original document.
That is brilliant. It completely removed the black box problem. But okay, let's address the elephant in the room here. The cost.
Yeah, the cost is a big one.
Enterprise AI capital expenditures jumped, 47% recently? Setting up a whole mesh of agents constantly running inference cycles, that sounds like something only a massive conglomerate can afford.
It can definitely seem that way. Compute power, specifically inference costs, gets really expensive. But Aetherlink breaks down these incredible cost optimization levers that can actually reduce deployment costs by 35 to 45%.
Wow, 45%. That makes it a totally different conversation for a mid-market company. So how do they actually do that?
The biggest one is selective model deployment. Most companies just route every single query through a massive frontier model like GPT-4 or Claude Opus, which costs a premium.
Right, using a sledgehammer for a nail.
Exactly. In an optimized mesh, you use semantic routing. You have a lightweight script that checks the task. If it's a simple task, like extracting a date, it routes it to a smaller, much cheaper open source model.
Like maybe a 7 or 13 billion parameter model.
Yeah, exactly. You only save the massive models for complex reasoning. That alone saves roughly 60% on inference.
That's huge. And what about the timing of these tasks? I read something in the guide about agent batching.
Yes, agent batching. Not everything needs a sub-second response time. If you have back-office tasks, like reconciling invoices, the system can just queue them up.
Oh, and then run them overnight.
Right, during off-peak hours using Spark compute instances from cloud providers, which are way, way cheaper.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there was the hybrid edge cloud approach. That's about data transfer fees, right?
Yeah, egress fees. Cloud providers charge a fortune to move data out of their systems. So Aetherlink suggests keeping your lightweight agents on-premise, on your own hardware.
So they do the heavy lifting of sorting the data locally.
Exactly. And you only send the refined essential data to the cloud when you really need the big models. It slashes those egress costs.
Okay, and the last lever was prompt optimization. Basically using structured few-shot examples to cut token consumption by like 25 to 30%.
Right. LLMs charge by the token. If you give a vague prompt, the AI spits out conversational filler, like, here is your summary. You're paying for those useless words.
Oh, I hate when it does that. So by giving it strict templates, it just outputs raw JSON or whatever you need.
Exactly. Multiply those saved tokens across tens of thousands of interactions, and the savings are massive.
Which really brings it home. I mean, the sources mention this incredible stat about a Finnish logistics operator. They use these exact routing techniques and dropped their multi-agent costs from 180,000 euros a month down to just 110,000.
That's nearly €1 million saved annually.
Right. And they barely lost any autonomous coverage. It only dropped from 82% to 79%.
Which just proves you don't need a hyperscaler budget to do this.
Okay, so we have the architecture, we have the cost controls, but I want to see this under real pressure. How does this perform in a highly regulated environment like finance?
Oh, the Finnish fintech case study. This is the definitive proof of concept. So this is a Nordea-backed platform processing about 2.3 billion euros annually.
Okay, big numbers.
Huge. And they were just drowning. They had 120 full-time analysts doing manual transaction reviews. They had 4-day processing delays and absolutely zero audit trails for 47 different regulatory rules.
Just a total nightmare for the 2026 deadline.
Completely. So AetherDivy built them a 3-tier agent mesh.
Walk me through the tiers.
Tier 1 is the RG enhanced agents. They use MCP to pull the exact regulatory rules and transaction logs in real time.
So just fetching the context, no decision-making yet.
Right. Then Tier 2 is the decision agents. They use those cost-optimized small models like Mistral 7B to evaluate the transaction.
But what if it's a super complex fraud case?
If the model's confidence drops below 85%, it automatically escalates to a larger model like Claude 3 Sonnet.
Oh, wow. So you're only paying for the big brain when you absolutely need it.
Exactly. And then Tier 3 is the compliance agents. They monitor everything to ensure there's no bias, which is Article 9 of the AI Act, and they log every single step to an immutable ledger.
Okay, I have to share the results from the guide because this is the aha moment for me. Their processing time plummeted from 4 days to just 6 hours.
Incredible.
And their fraud detection accuracy actually increased to 94%. Cost per transaction dropped from 47 cents to 12 cents. But here is the absolute mic drop.
Let's hear it.
When the EU regulators actually audited them, they generated the required documentation in 4 hours. Their competitors took 6 weeks.
4 hours versus 6 weeks. I mean, that is just night and day. It completely shifts you from reactive compliance to proactive governance.
Totally. So as we wrap up, let's crystallize this.
Right.
What is your number one takeaway from all this?
For me, it's reframing the EU AI Act. Everyone is looking at 2026 as this looming 30 million euro burden.
Right, like a tax on innovation.
Exactly. But organizations need to look at Helsinki and realize that building governance first, traceable agent architectures right now, is actually a massive competitive moat.
Yeah, while your competitors are buried in audits, you're scaling effortlessly. For my takeaway, it's the democratization of the tech through cost optimization.
Yes.
With strategies like selective model routing, multi-agent AI isn't just for tech giants anymore. It unlocks ROI timelines of 12 to 18 months for mid-market companies doing, just a few thousand transactions a day.
It's totally accessible now.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me to one final kind of provocative thought for everyone listening to mull over.
Ooh, all right, lay it on us.
We've talked about agents communicating internally. But what happens in late 2026 when your procurement agent starts negotiating directly with a vendor's sales agent using these secure MCP protocols?
Oh man, machine-to-machine commerce.
Right. And even wilder, what happens when EU regulators stop sending human auditors and instead just deploy their own automated audit agents to plug directly into your compliance ledger?
Wow, so the audit wouldn't even be a report you generate. It would just be a continuous, invisible background process.
Exactly. And if your specialized agents can execute an audit workflows faster, cheaper, and more accurately than human analysts, the real question isn't whether your company can afford to deploy multi-agent orchestration.
It's whether your company can survive the next 2 years if your competitors deploy it first. That is a heavy thought to end on, but incredibly relevant. You really do not want to be the one left behind when that shift happens.
Absolutely not.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. For more AI insights, visit etherlink.ai.